CouchPotatoGM.com, YouTube. We talking about. I guess we're gonna talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're gonna talk a little bit about Joe Mixon and that organization and the way we see how they do things, and maybe why they do things, and the way it's ran over there with Paul Brown and them boys. Again, we have 130 subscribers. We're looking for 150 as a goal. But let's start it off, man. These boys, Joe Mixon went to the most obvious place.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, man. I'm disgusted. As you see, that's where I wanted them to go. But
it's going to be a lot of people that didn't want Joe Mixon on their team for obvious reasons. What he did was heinous. It was just bad all around, man. Inexcusable. So, but we're going to get more into the Cincinnati Bengals, and because they've done this before. They've drafted Burfict. They brought in Pac-Man, drafted Frosty Rucker a long time ago, Chris Henry, even Paul Dawson most recently. Jeremy Hill had some off-the-field concerns. So this is when the pick came to it didn't surprise us, man.
No, not at all.
Jeremy Hill, Joe Mixon to the Bengals made sense, man. So what does Cincinnati do that no other team does, man?
They don't pay. Well, they don't pay players who want to get paid that they've drafted and developed, and they don't pay free agents unless the free agent is willing to take a lower deal and come in there because they have character issues because they can't go anywhere else. And this is the way they run the business. And they got a coach, Marvin Lewis, who's been there, since I don't know, before Christ. I don't know. He's been there forever. And part of that is, in my opinion, and where it is the Browns don't want to pay anybody else. You know what I mean? You don't want to fire a coach, pay a coach, while you're paying another coach who's running the organization. They run it strictly as a business, and they're okay with, in my opinion, making the playoffs or just making the playoffs. Just
being competitive.
Yep. And as a Cincinnati fan, I don't know. I guess I don't want to call it brainwashed, but maybe they're conditioned to just live with it, bro. And as a fan, bro, I'm trying to go above and beyond. I'm trying to make it to the bowl. You know what I mean? And have they ever tasted that? I think maybe that one time.
San Fran
put it on them. Was it 49-0 or 56? Something ridiculous. They got blown out. And as a fan, man, don't you want more than just that, man? You got to ask for more than just that, man. I don't know, man. And Chris Carter, I heard him talking, on a radio show, and he was talking about how, Paul Brown came to him and said, this is the worst mistake, I made is, not bringing you in after you were cut. And, he wanted to bring Chris Carter in because Chris Carter, I guess, had some issues of his own, you know what I mean? And we like to give guys second chances, is what Paul Brown was saying. And,
You don't buy it?
No, I don't buy it. I mean, if that's the way you want to spin it, and that's how you spin it to your people, your fans, your newspaper, whatever. To me, it's about money, and it's about not paying folks. Well, if we can get this guy and that guy, and we can get the talent, although it's a questionable character thing, the bottom line is the bottom line. The bottom line looks better when we paying guys not as much as they should be paid because of the things they've done off the field. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how they want to run their business. It's a strange way. It's working.
It's shrewd. Some could call it cheap, and they've been able to get away with this because of how well they've drafted. They've been hitting on draft picks every single season. Even the guys that they take a risk on, they've been hitting with Pac-Man and those kind of guys. So they could get away with it now. But to me, that bottom's going to fall out as soon as they start missing on some picks. And they're not giving players. Lately, they gave Kirkpatrick some money. They gave Geno Atkins some money. I think A.J. Green got some money also. So maybe they're coming around.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So I just think the bottom's going to fall out, and once they start drafting it, and they're going to go back to being who the Bengals has always been in their franchise, man.
I think, they, what did the salary cap go up last year? Like $12 million? You can't keep all of the money. You got to pay somebody. So I think that's,
trying to get to that floor.
Yeah,
that's your point is getting to the floor.
We got to stay around the floor, near the floor, so let's pay this guy, that guy, and the other guy. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, I'm going to go back to it as a fan, and you said the bottom's going to fall out, and it probably will at some point. But it has caught up to them in that playoff game against the Steelers. Was it 2 years ago where they should have? The game was over, bro. It was done. It was over. It was package deal. We're ready to go. You got guys out here talking, running their mouth, spitting on folks, getting penalties, just doing dumb stuff, bro. And it caught up to you. You know what I mean? And there ain't nothing you can tell your fans, bro, because that's the guys you got on your team, man. And you paid for it in the worst way. You know what I mean? So, hey, man.
Yeah. So they didn't pay and they paid for it.
Yeah. You paid just in a different way. You know what I mean? So
speak to the success that the Bengals have had though in terms of their draft. You know what I mean? Has it been just the fact that they've been willing to take the chances on the more questionable character guys, or what do you think is being done from a scouting perspective? What's being done?
Okay, so I know that the Browns were one of those organizations where, they didn't put any money. And it was a couple of different organizations back in the day. They didn't put no money in the scouting department, guys running around. You had the top flight guys who had plenty of scouts to go everywhere. You know what I mean? And since we're not going to put money in free agents or bring back players that, we've developed but we're not willing to pay them, let's take some of that money, not all of it, but let's take some of that money and let's put it into our scouting department. And let's have them boys just disperse and go everywhere and find, regardless of character, let's go find those guys with the talent and we'll bring them in because we're that organization. There's very few in the league. Seattle's another one of them, where we'll bring in the questionable character guys. And that's less money on the bottom line that we're spending in the scouting department versus spending it on, a single one or two players, to break the bank, whether it be free agency or our own players that want to get paid. So, it's just the way I see or we see that organization ran. It's a different way, but at the end of the day, we feel like there's no way that's going to get you to
promised land.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be sustainability too. It's how long can you sustain?
Can't do it.
These other teams, they're paying money. They're drafted well, and not just paying money on free agents, which could be working backwards. They're paying money on their talent, like the Green Bay Packers.
Sure,
they do a very good job with that. They bring back the guys that they've trained, who they produce. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man.
And a prime example of this was last year. Okay, you drafted Tyler Boyd, you let Sanu go, you let Marvin Jones go. These guys go out, they ball out. I had a conversation on Twitter with a guy, and AJ Green gets hurt. Who do you turn to? Tyler Eifert was hurt for half the season.
Yeah, they had a lot of injuries.
You know what I mean? So, what do? You know what I mean? You can't turn any which way. Now, I know, they drafted a couple of receivers in this draft, and, they kind of caught up. But, again, you've developed these guys, and you didn't pay.
You just let them walk.
It's crazy to me, man. It's like the most asinine thing you could do, man.
And like, look what they did with their tackles. They had Whitworth, Andre Smith. 2 years ago, they drafted Seto and Jake Fisher to replace them. They let Whitworth walk. It's their process. It's their plan. It's been working. Mm-hmm. It's been working, but
Zeiler's in Cleveland now too.
Zeiler's in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. The next thing is this year's draft. They drafted Carl Lawson and Jordan Willis to eventually replace those edge rushers because they're not going to pay those guys. So it's a cycle that's been going well for them so far, but we just don't know how long this can last.
And let me talk about the last piece of it is how long, Marvin Lewis is there because he knows the plan. He's bought into what it is that they do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Will you be able to bring in another coach to want to deal with that, to want to put up with that? Because if I'm a coach, I'm like, we're a piece or two away. It doesn't matter what we pay. Let's go get that guy. Let's go get that piece. That's what free agency is for.
That's what free agency is for.
Or let's go trade some things to get a guy. I mean, hell, look at New England. You know what I mean? They just won a Super Bowl and they out there making a wheeling and dealing. Whether it be pay this guy or go trade for that guy. You know what I mean? And Cincinnati sitting back.
They're resting on their laurels, man.
Probably looking at the profit and loss sheet. You know what I mean? Looking at the bottom line versus, do you want to taste that trophy? Do you want to kiss that trophy? Do you want to hold it up? Do you want to feel the confetti coming down on you? Or are you okay with just the bottom line?
Yeah, man. The jungle, the fans. I know you guys are passionate, man. Let us know, man, what you think about your franchise. Why are they not paying their players? Can this last? Can this be sustained? CouchPotatoGM.com, man. Subscribe.